Hey guys, it's Fayon here. Welcome back to another video on the passive hang. And today I'm going to take you through some rotational movements, some unusual ones that you probably haven't seen before. Ones that have really helped free up my structure and my spine, especially because for many years I was into the whole lifting heavy weights and just performing as many reps as possible. So this involved a lot of dips, a lot of chin-ups, squat, deadlift, and I'm always moving in this one singular plane or just very linear plane. And then suddenly when I was demanded to be able to rotate, which is exactly what I have to do in my capoeira practice, where with a lot of kicks you have to generate force by swinging the body and then swinging the leg, I felt very limited. So these are some of the tools which have really helped open up my body, not only the upper spine, but also the lower structure in the hips. And it's something that I am happy to share with you guys today so that you guys can get some benefit from exploring these tools as well. All right, well, we're gonna get started. Let's go. So the first stretch I'm gonna take you guys through is what I call the wrestler's stretch. And you're gonna need a wall or something to put your foot up against and something to push up. I'm gonna just use this pole because that's all I have here today. Now, what you're gonna do is you're gonna place the side of your foot hard up against the wall, and then you're going to pivot the other foot into the wall so that you're rotating into the wall like this. When you do this at all times, be aware if your foot is going to peel off like this to try and avoid the stretch. You want to try and drive your big toe down into the ground so that this foot remains flat on the ground. That's very important. So I'm using this as a block, pushing the side of the foot against the wall or the pole in my case. I rotate this hip into the wall, so I'm rotating into the wall, and you already will feel like this coiling stretch up the side of your leg. It's a very unusual sensation. I've never really felt this whole line stretched and then going up to this lateral glute stretched like this in this way. And so rotating into the wall, pressing the whole of my foot down. Then to intensify the stretch, I'm going to place my opposite hand to the front leg on the wall. So this being my left hand to my right leg. And then I'm going to reach with my right hand around the back to intensify the stretch. So I'm going to use the other leg so that you can see what I'm doing here. So this is my left leg. I rotate into the pole here, my right hand across, and with this, you might have a tendency to really want to bend with the knee here again to avoid that stretch. You want to keep the foot flat on the ground, and then you want to push to keep the leg straight as well. So here I rotate in, and then I'm actively straightening my leg as well. And already here I feel, oh, there's all this funny tightness there that is starting to be stimulated. I put my hand across here, and then with the other hand, you can intensify even more by reaching out across to increase the rotation. This makes it more come up the spine, especially this reaching motion. And then I'm going to really try and drive my foot down into the ground as well. And you just hold here. Just thinking about extending with this reach. So I'm thinking about extending with this hand here away from me, and then monitoring what's happening down below. If my knee is bending, if my big toe is pulling up or anything. And just easing into it. When you first do it, you might already feel just with this simple rotation here, with that block here, I'm getting some sensations here already. It'll happen in different places for different people. You might just hold here for now and see, okay, can I keep my whole leg straight and my big toe down and not peeled off? How does this feel? Okay, I'm going to step it up a notch. I'm going to push this hand through. That's going to give me a little bit more rotation. That starts traveling up to the lower spine around the belly button area. And then finally, if you want to make it more of the global stretch, you reach the hand away. So reaching away there. And you can just ease your way into it, hold it for 30 seconds up to 60 seconds in whatever position that you feel that you need for that day. And then be careful coming out of it, especially if it's your first time. And this is something that I've just found has been fantastic for especially this twisting motion here, where it wasn't just my spine, but this tightness through the side of the legs as well was restricting me in some of the rotation movements. So that's a fantastic simple one that you can do just with the wall, one that I haven't seen very often, and one that will help target rotation not only from the upper structure but going all the way down through the leg into the foot. So that's the first one. Okay, this second stretch is a standing spine rotation that you're going to need a yoga block and a wall fall. So in the first one, there was a rotation stretch where we're really targeting the lower structure, and then now we're going to be targeting more this upper structure with this movement. So with the block, we're going to place it in between our knees, and why we do this is because it's very common when you rotate that you might just twist with the knees and buckle with the knees, especially when you're trying to get a pure rotation through the spine. When you're trying that movement, if you're a little bit limited, this might happen where you go like this and then this knee might buckle in. So to keep it strict, you're going to use a block between the knees so that it's going to force you where the rotation is going to have to happen through the upper structure. You'll get a lot less range, but it'll be a lot more specific for this area up here. So what I'll do is I'll place the block in between my knees such as this. I stand with my back to the wall, and then all I'm going to do is I'm going to reach across with this hand and try and touch the heel of my hand to the wall. Very simple, but with this block here preventing me from being able to really use my knees, then it makes it a lot harder. So here I rotate and then I reach with my heel of my hand and then to the other side as well. And you don't need that much distance to already be quite challenged. Like I'm standing maybe 3/4 of a foot away from the wall and I'm already feeling very challenged. I might even take it in a little bit more, and you might also just stand very close to the wall at first as well, just to start, so that you can feel this motion here. Now when I'm doing this, I'm being very careful that I'm just trying to rotate. I'm not just leaning back and then leaning back on the wall. It's not this movement where you're just going like this, trying to rotate through the structure here. So in all these rotation movements, be aware if you're like bending forward or bending back, especially if we're trying to just unlock this restricted motion, because that might just be a strategy that you're doing in order to give the appearance of range, but actually you're just avoiding the area that you're trying to develop. So once again, place the block in between the knees, and then all I do is reach across and then try and really touch the wall with that heel of the hand. Especially that heel of the hand is going to force you to really rotate a lot more. And you can do just taps like this, or you can also reach across and then try and hold, and then just try and feel where all that rotation is going, try and reach further. So I like doing maybe 10 taps each side and then holding for a 10-second hold as well. When you're ready, then you can just waddle your way forward a little bit more, and even just sometimes an inch or so will make it a lot harder. You'll be finding all these places that you're like cramping, that it comes in all these weird places just as you try and really reach, be strict with not leaning back. So one thing I like to monitor is, are my shoulders level? Because if my shoulders are tipped like this way, what I'm doing is I'm just leaning here to get to the wall. So if my shoulders are level, then that's more a pure rotation. So here, shoulders level, and then touch, come back. Ugh. Bit more limited on that side. I'm only almost not making it on this side. So again, I can make that observation and be like, okay, why is that one more freer than the other one? Might be because I've been trying to deal with this lower right back issue for the last few months. That's still clearing up, but this is a really great one. Very simple, keeps you honest because you have the block and you can't let the knees buckle, and then it starts targeting that structure, especially from the hip up all the way through this midsection here. So standing spine rotation with the yoga block, another really nice exercise tool to explore in this realm of practice. The third and final movement that I want to share today is rotational arm emptying. And this movement, which looks like this, really helps open up rotation in a dynamic sense, and then helps you give the feeling of how to transmit power from the spinal structure into the arms. So what we're going to do is, just from a standing position, you just feet shoulder width here, just have your weight centered so you can have a slight sinking down of the pelvis. And then I'm going to keep the head fixed looking forward so that everything is rotating underneath it. And so from here, I'm going to twirl my hands around so that they tap my sides, and you can just do this slowly at first, where I'm trying to rotate with my spine and my hips, and just let my arms be soft to then tap my body. And if you just do it really slow, it's almost like this movement. If I didn't have the head fixed, it was just like looking across and looking back behind you. So think of it like that. I'm looking back behind one shoulder and then the other shoulder, except I'm keeping my head fixed and everything else is rotating underneath the head. So here, if you do this, your arms start already automatically getting the transmission and start rotating, and then you can just start adding more power through it slowly without moving the head. So something you might find is, as you start putting in a bit more power, you might start looking left or right. You got to control that. Just try and keep the weight still centered through the feet, the head centered, and try and generate the power from the spine and the hips to keep the arms nice and loose, hence the term arm emptying, and allow everything else to rotate as the arms just go across the body, and then you can lightly tap on the body before you reverse direction and rotate to the other side. So here, notice I can do even more power, trying to go up to as much as I can control, with the head still staying centered and my weight still staying on my feet as well. There's a lot of rotational force being driven from that spine, so you don't have to go that intense. You can just start off more subtle until you get more of the coordination. Again, trying to monitor, is my shoulders moving level or are they kind of going down like this? Just trying to get pure rotation here, which are then transmitting through very loose arm structure. So once again, just staring at a point in front of me, trying to not have my head move, and then trying to feel how I can rotate from the bottom of my spine through the hips, up through below my ribs, now through my ribs, up to my head, and how I can rotate through this torso and transmit through the arms. Nice. That's a really nice one to do for an extended amount of time. You can start off with, say, 5 to 6 minutes and then see what that feels like. Just something like from a more subtle to medium intensity. I think it takes a while before you become more comfortable in controlling a more higher intensity like this. You don't have to go too crazy with that. In fact, normally when I go more medium pace, I feel a greater relaxation through the structure afterwards, which helps me feel more free through the structure rather than when I'm really trying to crank it and generate power. So I don't normally go 100%, maybe somewhere between 60 or 70% to really feel great benefits afterwards through my structure, to feel nice and open and free, especially in this rotation plane. So when you start combining it with then looking over your shoulder like this, and then also with the knees buckling like this, you suddenly can look all the way across there versus maybe before when you might feel a little bit limited, and then movements like this can really open up this plane with a lot more range of motion. There you go. Those are 3 movements for you to explore to help open up this rotational plane for you, which have really helped benefit me. These things, just take it easy at first, explore them, use the videos to take in the cues, just get a feeling of the motions, and then from there you can start training them and then putting them into your practice. You know, with those stretches, you might only do those a couple times a week or maybe 3 times a week, maybe 3 sets, and then you do maybe 1-minute holds and then build that up to a little bit longer. You might just try that at a bit lower intensity, so don't really try and crank your spine and really reach out until you're a bit more familiar with that stretch. And that's the same with the standing spine rotation stretch. Just feel it out at first. I think if you stay close to the wall and just monitor, especially that your shoulders are level, you already feel a lot of intense sensations, and you can just start with something a little bit lower intensity, but then do the 10 taps with the 10-second hold to start with. Again, maybe you have a rotation session and then you do that 2 or 3 times a week. And then with the rotational arm emptying, that's something where starting off with a bit more subtle motions instead of trying to put all that intense power into it. Something very easily you could do from about 5 to 6 minutes, even every day if you wanted to. That's something that I tried for a while, and that really helped release some inner things in my structure with that daily practice. But again, if you just wanted to do that 2 or 3 times a week as well in the same session, that would be completely fine as well. All right, well, if you have any questions about any of the movements, please hit me up in the comments below. Otherwise, if you're interested in learning movement from me, you can head over to the website at thepassivehang.com and you can reach out to me in the form there. Otherwise, if you have any suggestions for any videos as well, hit me up again in the comments box. Otherwise, subscribe to this video, please share it with a friend if you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks, guys.